Episode 3. Descent.
We met at the Hope Hill Cemetery, about half a mile from where Jeremy John said we'd find the entrance. Suze and I had crossing alibis, that we were studying with the other, and as such we were counting on the gentle void of parental disinterest. I was 15 minutes early. It was late spring, and Jeremy was sweating through his black wool coat. We walked single file, ducking through trees and bushes, me behind Suze and Suze behind her probate husband, who kept glancing back at her as if she might be folded into the night air and lost forever. But Suze wasn't going anywhere. She was having too much fun. We came to a storm cellar. Jeremy produced the largest key ring I'd ever seen, and I started thinking about all the crap that might happen to me if we were caught. Chief among the crap was suspension, which, for a Harkham, was irredeemable. Barthos offered us so much. Why would I risk it all to see the one thing we weren't allowed to see? This is a question that answers itself. The stone steps led to a packed dirt floor. Suze raised her flashlight. Wood beams ran over our heads and disappeared down a long corridor. It was damp, close, like the inside of a sleeping mouth. Someone's stomach gurgled, and I realized I hadn't eaten since breakfast. There were several gates, each with its own lock, and each demanding the attentions of Jeremy John's gigantic steel ring. He told us this was the secondary route, the one only the jailkeeper knew about, for emergency use and the delivery of tools back when the cell was being built. When I get nervous, I tell myself jokes. The problem is I can never remember the punchlines. It's just one setup after another, a whole series of widowed characters in search of a mate. I was in the middle of one of these when Jeremy's hand shot out and motioned for us to crouch. I remember the warm glow of a candle. I remember the smell of meat, pork, or venison, and the scratch, scratch, scratch of my hunger. I remember the shadow of the bars and how it moved, flickered, and the shape of Suze's haunches. And I remember running as fast as we could reverse ourselves through the labyrinth and the open gates and the cellar door, which seemed so much heavier the first time I held it. What I don't recall is who was chasing us or why. I was halfway to the graveyard when I heard Suze call my name. That's when I noticed Jeremy wasn't with us. Suze stopped. She wanted to go back. I couldn't, and I made sure she understood that. She kept asking what I'd seen down there over and over again all the way home. What did you see, Frida? What did you see? Jeremy dropped out of school the following week. He never spoke to us again. People have such bizarre notions. The notion that any one of us can change things, for instance. Make some sort of grand, lasting, life-altering difference. Throw ourselves against the wheel, or what have you. If you subscribe to that theory, I suppose you must be quite selfish. Like a tyrant, in fact. Or a tyrant in utero. But that's what epics are for. And when was the last time you read one of those?
you for coming. It means the world to us. You are our world, and that's exactly what I said to Cornell last night as I hemmed my dress for the 7th time. I never felt lucky wearing dresses till now. They were just something to get food on or rip when I wasn't paying attention. My mother told me the bride eats whatever she wants, especially if she's eating for two. Mom couldn't be here today, obviously, but she misses so many of you and hopes to see you soon. I guess we all hope that. To be seen again one way or another. Some of you might wonder what we've done to deserve this. Our aunts, our children, our brothers and sisters, they should be here too, and I know you're tired. There's only so much waiting a person can do before they sink to the ground and forget what they were waiting for. Well, you didn't do anything. Maybe we were never meant to keep him. Maybe we dreamed him like he dreamed us, and now he's gone, and wouldn't you go if you were in his sandals, if you could? I don't care if you believe or don't believe, because it's worse having to choose between them, and we have to choose. I do anyway. Freda says, people used to make sacrifices to the Yellow King. Deer, sheep, all kinds of bloody shit. They didn't give him the offerings, though. They ate them for him. That was supposed to keep everyone going till the next harvest or whatever. We don't do that anymore. Even if we wanted to, there's not enough animals to go around. Unless you find yourself in just the right place at just the right time. That was me a week ago, panting, hunched over the well at 6 o'clock in the morning when I saw the proudest, most magnificent old mare come clopping through the fog. No tack, barely able to see or stand, but keeping all that to herself for as long as she could manage. We faced each other, swaying a little, stomping our feet. The baby'd been kicking for the last hour, but not then. Quiet then. I admired her strong white blaze, her chewed ear, her scars. And we stood there on that pale patch of lawn till everything that needed to be said was said. And I went inside to get the gun. Cornell hired Lucas to help prep her, which took even longer than I thought it would. Horses aren't small. So please, enjoy our stolen bounty. Eat with him in mind, or don't. Eat to remember yourselves and your loved ones, or don't. Eat for our future, for the new golden age, for all our mistakes and our transgressions, or don't. There's plenty either way.
It's funny how bad news can change your feelings about a place. My father used to go to this cafe by his office every lunch hour. Something about the beans, he said. Special roasts, filtered water. I don't know. I'm more of a tea drinker myself, but he swore by it. One day, he's lazing at his favorite table out by the fountain, working on his tan, waiting for his fiancée to show, but it's not his fiancée who walks in. It's her brother. Fat, fleshy mountain of a guy, beard like a forest, and he doesn't sit. He just looms there, growling. My dad doesn't know what to think. He's met him once, maybe twice, seemed nice enough. Now he's wondering if he should bolt before he gets his head squeezed off. It turns out the fiancé moved back home, and the brother blames my father for it. That levels him, spins his world around. The worst part is he can't understand it. Together 1 minute, alone the next. He looked for weeks, but he never did find her. Sometimes people just leave. The cafe with special beans didn't seem so special after that. I was here at town hall when I got the call that Tilly was in labor. She was 3 weeks early, and right away I had this cold, hollow feeling, like a wind blew through me, through all my cracks and sores. By the time I reached her bedside, she was gone. Tilly wouldn't want tears. She was the brightest light I've ever known, and she saw the light in others. That was her gift. Many of you counted on her to tell you things about yourselves. All of those things are in you and have been all along. It's up to you to see them now. I'm still new to Barthos. Someday, I hope you won't think of me as the new guy. I'll just be your neighbor, your comrade, your friend down the block. Tilly shared her love of this town with me, and more than anything, I want to return that love 10,000-fold, which is why I've decided to petition the council to add a train depot that parallels the Titan line. It's a change, yes. But with a spur running through Mount Green, we could open our supply chain and boost production. Lumber from the North Country and cattle to the South. We'll have stockpiles to get us through the hard times. Times such as these that rise up with great bald fists to pound the living out of you and me and everyone we know. My wife had a dream that our next chapter was a promise. The Yellow King might have left, but we don't have to follow him. Why was he here to begin with? Because this is a place worth coming to, and my own feelings for it have only deepened. On these nights, when I can't get a fire going, these wet, lonely nights, waiting for my son to say his first words, waiting to tell him about his mother, to watch him grow into a proud young man, full of his own hopes and impossible ideas. I take a deep breath and I listen. And there she is, behind a bookcase. Under the bassinet, between the plates and serving spoons, still with us. My father would have thought I'd lost it. The good news is, the year after his fiancée split, he met my mother. There's hope in the struggle if you know where to look.
There were rumors. Cousin Mills said he'd been spotted, way upriver, catching trout in his straw hat. The one-armed woman at the feed store heard someone who heard someone say, no, he's in the mountains, working on a spell to turn us into goats. Some think he is a goat. None of this meant much to me anymore. I wasn't going to find him, or if I did, I wasn't going to bring him back. Not that way. The thing I had to do was make plans for what was in front of me. Tilly died giving birth to Mr. Reese's baby. That was a fault of the marriage, of his advent, of the whole consequence of effects that I was just then waking to.
She'd want tears, all right. Tears and curses and jokes with no punchlines. That's what I could give her. And I did.
You're never prepared for how much blood there is.
The midwife wore a bone necklace. It clicked when she bent over.
I went at night, not because I was worried about being seen. It took all morning and part of the afternoon to slaughter what was left of the chickens and set fire to the place. Controlled burns require a good bit of digging, and I had to be sure Lucas was in the house and couldn't get out.
She was going to name him Lan. Cornell didn't care for it.
The knife I chose was a 6 1/4-inch fixed blade that my father had taken with him, along with the coffee grinder and a couple of shot glasses. Through the window, I could see him cutting 3, 4, 5 stems at a time. He shoved them in a vase that was olive green and, as I'd come to learn, empty. The porch squeaked underfoot, but Mr. Reese did not look up.
Back and forth, back and forth, click, click, click.
High-handed people don't imagine they'll ever die. So the killing wasn't hard, as far as that went. He said some things I might remember, but they aren't worth anyone else knowing. If I don't repeat them, they disappear, like the rest of him. The stars formed an 1.5 years ago. The light is reaching us just now, you know. That light is a lie. You can't trust your eyes. Our stories live in us that way. They are all we have. Twitch and flicker away in a long dead dream. Tell one to the next, or else. Some want to stay, some want to go. Some reap the harvest that others have sown. But I heard the call, did what I could. Then it was over and under I stood. Some figure themselves in debt. We were blind children who can't pay the rent. Maybe we're not coming back. Maybe things look different enough. Maybe things look different enough. We pretend to recognize each other. Mouths, eyes, novel tongues. It's better than nothing. Better than, it's better than nothing. Better than, it's better than nothing. Better than. Some want to stay, some want to go. Some reap the harvest that others have sown. But I heard the call, did what I could. Then it was over and under I stood. Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice. Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice. Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice. Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice.
Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice. Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice. Like a tree root, like a compass, like a bombshell, tracing justice. Like a tree root, like a compass,
I was sorry the vase broke. He must have bumped the table when he fell. So, you're all caught up, I suppose. All filled in. The strangest part about being here is how good it feels. How decent and true. It's the same gray walls from point to point, the same bars, a perfect circle of time. Dog's time, angel's time, and me right in the middle.
All days are one day.
All days are one day, going and returning.
Einar Geld, convicted of murder on this date, November 19th, in the 246th year of our founding. A full admission of guilt was heard, after which the prisoner was sentenced to life, without commutation. He made no further statements. Mr. Geld was found with 10 matches in his left front pocket. He was also barefoot. Son of Zachar Geld, see Debt Book, Volume 5, lines 63 to 84. Einar was born on the farm which he thereto tended, and became one of the most trusted produce suppliers in Barthos. He is the first person to serve time in the cell of the Yellow King since the end of the Great Prosperity. As to motive, the council library speculates that the prisoner blamed the deceased for a number of misfortunes and personal setbacks. These include, but are not limited to, the deaths of Zachar Geld and Tilly Harcum. It is the library's opinion that the prisoner is a victim of his own beliefs. Let it also be noted that the child known as Lan Reese is currently in the library's custody and shall remain so until a suitable parent is found. Oral accounts to follow. Close entry.
You've been listening to Saturn's Return by Chance Mulick, directed by Melanie Armour. Music and sound design by Chad Rains, featuring Karen Grenke as Frida Harcum, Jason Howard as Cornell Reese, Robin Kurtz as Tilly Harcum, and Mark Lindberg as Einar Geld. Saturn's Return was produced by Nerve Tank Media. This project was commissioned by David Vining and made possible with support from the Putnam Arts Council, the Governor's Office of New York, and the New York City Artist Corps.